Okay.
Okay, we're not doing anything yet here. Okay, so copy streaming link, website. Save. We're not. Okay, we are definitely live on YouTube.
Great.
I'm going to start letting people in. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, I've got my questions up. Okay, Mr. Noller, we have quite a few participants here. We'll get started here in about 4 minutes or so, and as more people keep jumping in here.
Okay. Welcome everybody, if you can hear me. And we'll start right at 5:30. So thanks for being with us tonight, and we'll start here in just a couple minutes.
We have 20 in the room now, Mr. Noller.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm bringing some more in.
Okay.
We have 27 in the room.
And Jeff, is the recording's paused? Do you want me to, is that you or me to start
That would be me, so let me make sure I
for the
figure out
Zoom?
where that is. Okay, it's me.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to turn that on now, record.
It's paused. Do you want me to start the recording on Zoom again?
It's recording now.
Okay, it shows on mine as paused. So
Oh, probably because you started it earlier. Yeah, I've got it, so you don't have to worry about it.
We're good. Okay.
And we got one more coming in, and then I think it's 5:30. Oh,
I think
no,
you're
there's
right.
another one. We've got 2 joining in now. We have 32 in the meeting.
Okay. Excellent.
And I'll be just kind of adding people in as they join. So
okay.
I'm going to show the chat.
Okay. Well, I show it's 5:30, so let's go ahead and get started, and they can join as they join. So
sounds great.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. I'm Brian Noll. I'm the director of Northland Career Center, and you have with us again. You hear another gentleman talk, and I'll let him introduce himself, Mr. Green here.
Hi, I'm Jeff Green. I am the assistant director here at NCC, and welcome, and glad to have you guys tonight. And I'm going to be managing a couple different things here, so if you see me looking around, I promise I'm still paying attention. So,
and our job tonight is not to present anything to you as much as be here for you to ask questions. So I'm going to read a quick statement, And once I read that statement, it gets really informal, and then we'll let you ask questions by putting them in the chat. So I'm going to read my statement real quick, and then we'll go from there. So we chose to change our Meet the Teacher Night to a virtual question and answer session to allow parents and students to ask questions that might be on their mind as we prepare to reopen our school in unprecedented times. Mr. Green and I will do our best to answer questions you may have, but please know that we may not have all the answers this evening, and we may have to get back to you. Mr. Green and I have been working collaboratively with members of our team at Northland Career Center, our sending school partners, and working with our district reopening team that is utilizing key guidance from Platte County Health Department, Centers for Disease Control, or CDC, and other agencies. Our goal this evening is to share our plan, answer questions where we can, and utilize any feedback you may have to collaboratively work with this year we have 430 students and families. To ensure all questions are answered thoroughly, please type your question in chat, and we will spend our time between 5:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. to answer those questions. As we continue to update our plan, we will update our website main page. You actually have access to a live document. So as we make that change on that document where it says reopening plan, it changes instantaneously. It now includes our latest version of our academic calendar for 2020-2021, which has changed obviously with the new start date of September 8th. As everything else you've often heard, all this is subject to change and based on new information. So we're going to go ahead and begin, and we're going to let you type questions in the chat. We're going to try that. We have not facilitated an online meeting like this yet with parents, so this is our first time. So I would say we're rookies. Mr. Green is extremely good at technology, and I've been on the other side of this as a parent with soccer and some other things, but so this is our first time. So we'll do our best to make sure everybody gets their voice heard and questions answered. So we had, and again, Mr. Green, do we have any questions in the chat yet from this group so far?
Not that I see. Make sure I'm looking at the right one. Yep. I just have the one that you sent to everybody in the waiting room, but I've got everybody. So.
Okay. I have 4 questions that were pre-asked that we will go through first, and then again, if we will, we'll answer other questions. So. Question 1, Mr. Graham, I'll let you answer this question after I read it. It says, how do we order uniforms for our student? Where do we send the money? By when, etc.?
Yeah, and there's actually a couple of people that have asked that question, so I made sure that I got that on there. And I do see the chat questions are coming in, so we'll get to those. But uniforms and any student fees that come up, we will, if they're a first-year student at NCC, we will assign the required fee that we have for those programs, and it varies by program. We will assign that to their account, and you will be able to pay that via the portal, which will be for all new students. We'll be sending that login information out, pretty close to the beginning of school. We're okay with it being even after school starts. The student can come pay with cash, check, or charge at the school as well once school starts. So we have lots of options for paying fees and that kind of stuff. We are not in a hurry for it. We know that you guys are getting that from the sending schools. I know as a parent, my son, their school has been sending me, hey, you need to get this paid online today. I know that's out there. We're a little more laid back in that we give you a little time. The first couple weeks of school is plenty of time, but as soon as we get everything in that system, we'll be sending out messages as well so that you're aware that those fees have been posted. If your son or daughter is a second-year student and they'd like to buy another shirt or another pair of safety glasses, that will be done in the portal, the parent or the student portal, and they can actually go into the school store. I want a new pair of safety glasses, click on that, click on pay, and they can pay there, or they can come in and pay here in the front office as well. So that's kind of the answer for payments and that kind of stuff. And the uniforms are part of those required fees. Mr. Noel, you want to read that second question?
I sure will. It says, will buses depart at the same time from each high school on days when the student is virtual? So even if they do have in-person class that day, they can go get on the bus. What time will buses depart for the afternoon session? I will tell you, this is the question that we were struggling with the most because we have different answers from different sending schools. We are open 5 days a week to offer in-person instruction. And so we know that there's going to be kids that maybe Monday, Thursday kids at a certain school districts, or Tuesday, Friday kids that they're only in person in their high school 2 days a week if they're in a hybrid model in some cases. Some cases it's different, but we're adapting to several different hybrid models, or we're supporting several different hybrid models. we would ask that, we've got information, but again, we're still trying to get answers from all the high schools, that you contact your high school and talk to your high school administrator to definitely get information, because we will support any kids on any day. Meaning that if you're a Tuesday, Friday kid, or your student's a Tuesday, Friday student at their high school, they can be a Monday through Friday kid at Northland Career Center. And we're hopeful that buses will be able to transfer them, but we don't make all those decisions. We know that we are encouraging kids to drive this year for the first time. Typically, we encourage them to ride the bus. We're encouraging kids to drive for social distancing purposes, and we are waiving all driving fees to Northland Career Center. And we are strictly enforcing, though, that kids ride only by themselves in their own car and do not bring multiple kids. That's something that we try to regulate. It's hard with two administrators in a lower parking lot, but we do the best we can. If you have someone that's in your household that's a twin, a stepbrother, sister situation that's already in the same situation, then we would allow that to occur. But we're going to be pretty strict on keeping kids in their own vehicles. So what I would tell you is I'm not sure we have all the answers on that one yet. I will tell you, we will allow kids to be there Monday through Friday if they're in-person kids, and we'll allow them to drive. And we're hopeful that all the sending schools allow them to catch the bus at their high school or let them drive in those hybrid situations. So, Mr. Green, do you want to add to that with attendance or anything maybe?
That was a good answer as far as all that. Attendance, I'm going to be pretty straightforward with attendance this year. We're kind of famous, especially if you're a second-year parent that's with us. We're pretty famous for being very strict on our attendance. We have had a policy that basically you're either here or you're not, very similar to most of our business partners, and kind of what is expected from our for employees all over the country. I will tell you, though, this year we know that there's going to be a lot of differences in how we look at attendance. I think businesses are doing the same thing. So we will be working with our business partners to see how they're doing it, talking with parent groups, talking with students, and looking at it very differently. And that's probably a temporary thing, until we kind of get through this time. I would say that if it is more important than anything that if any of your children are sick, that they stay home, that you do those screening checks to make sure that if they are showing any kind of symptoms of being sick, whether it's the flu, whether it's this new virus that we're all hearing about, anything at all, you make sure you're screening them and making sure that they're safe enough to come to school. And you'll just let us know, and we're just going to mark them down. If you tell them, hey, they're sick at home today, that's going to be for the first time in NCC's history, I think, kind of what you guys are used to calling an excused absence. So that's new for us, and we'll be kind of treading in new territory for the way we've done business for many, many years. So bear with us a little bit on that as we kind of learn the right things to do. But big thing, no matter what, communicate with us so we know what's going on, so we can make sure we code it right. But we are not going to put a major emphasis on attendance like we have in the past, because we want to make sure that kids aren't coming to NCC because they really want an attendance award, or they really want, whatever it is, or they love it so much they don't want to miss that today we're going to do this kind of weld. I've got to be there. No, if you're sick, stay home. So we'll make sure I stress that. We have a question that's very specific. It asks how many students are in a specific class. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Mr. Green, I just did. It's actually,
okay.
There's 8 students, and you'll hear me say this very carefully, that's a fantastic program that could safely, because we've done classroom audits in that classroom, take up to 15 and still allow us to have enough equipment to social distance. So there's 8 kids in production tech. Anything ranges in these sessions from 8 to about 24. And again, our 24 is in a very large space. As we meet with teachers and as we meet with our district administration from Platte County, our goal is to put everything in place so that we can provide proper safety practices for all kids. What works for us is we have kids come to our building and they're only in one classroom. They don't rotate classes. They come to our class. We're going to have processes in place where they go to that classroom. There's no breaks. There's no between class schedules. They go to that class around those kids. Desks are put in positions where we either have safety practices such as plexiglass or 6 feet apart. All students are asked to wear a face covering, except in very limited circumstances when they may be well over 6 feet apart. So we've kept the nice part about being an NCC at no given time, based on our current enrollment, we have over 210 kids that will be attending in person as of right now. That may increase to 215 or 220, but it won't be above that number. So typically we run about 400 students in person. We have about 432 students, and about 10% of those students are going to be virtual. So there are reduced numbers in each classroom, other than actually we have one student virtual in each of our programs. So hope that helps there.
Got a couple questions related to if the Platte County School District makes decision to go all virtual, will that affect NCC? And the answer is yes. NCC will follow the Platte County School District's decisions when it comes to if we're all going virtual. So know that and that goes for snow days, inclement weather days, all that kind of stuff too, throughout the whole school year. If we have a snow day, the Platte County School District decision is what we do, is what we follow. So yes, that is a yes. And then the follow-up question to that is, so how are you going to teach these skills virtually? And Mr. Noller, I'm going to throw that one back at you.
Well, thanks, Mr. Green. Mr. Green and I have worked together for many years, and we've worked in career and technical education for a long time and both taught in it. And we would both tell you that never would it be our preference to teach any of these skills virtually. However, we want to keep people safe. So we, like any other school in the Northland, in the state of Missouri, or the country, went virtual or remote, I should say, in the spring. And we, with no planning time, were able to execute a decent plan to have skills taught every day with each of our teachers. We have a fantastic staff. We have 2 weeks coming up starting on Tuesday where we're going to work hard to prepare more so for the virtual part, just in case that happens. Some of the benefits of being an NCC student is you can earn certification, you can obtain an internship, you can earn college credit that works towards either college, post-secondary certificates, or degrees. You can work on relevant projects. And all the things I just mentioned, the one that'll be toughest is working on relevant projects. I will say there were some great examples where our teachers challenged kids last spring. I'll use our culinary arts program as an example where, they have to cook. I mean, kids cooked and they took pictures of the work and they work from home. There are a few certifications, and if you're a health science parent or a teaching professions parent, you'll receive somewhat of a separate message from me on Friday, tomorrow or Monday, talking about this is hard for those two classes because they have work-based learning pieces, and that's where they actually leave the school as part of their program to go work with kids with teaching professions, or they go actually work with real live residents in long-term care facilities. And some of those things are going to be restricted, at least this fall. So it's not the best scenario, and I'd be lying to you if I said that out loud, that we're going to make that work perfectly. But we made it work in the spring. We still provided relevant experiences to our kids. But just like being in person with high school classes, it's not our perfect scenario. So, but we'll do the best we can. Our hopes is that we are able to September 8th open our doors, and things are still modified. We're working in a balance of safety with relevance, and so that'll create some challenges. But we're pretty confident the next 2 weeks that we'll have all of our classrooms prepared to do that, and hope that we'll be able to stay in person throughout the whole semester. But we're prepared if we're not able to, we'll be able to do things very well virtually. Mr. Green is a technology whiz. He'll be modest and say he's not, but we also have a lot of teachers who are very adept at technology and did a great job of delivering virtual instruction in the spring. So that's my long answer to that.
Okay. Mr. Noller, do you have the questions pulled up? I've been copying the chat questions into that document. Or I can just ask them and we can tag team answer.
I think I have it if you've copied them. So if my child's school schedule is different than NCC, which schedule do they go by? Well, the only scenario we see that being a challenge, if your student is completely virtual or remote at your high school, then we've talked a lot with our sending schools that it's really important if we have in-person, all of our school districts have given us their blessing to have kids be virtual at their high schools and in-person at NCC. And they know that it's going to be a challenge if those kids in virtual formats at their high schools are working off a different schedule. For example, all of your students would have an AM or PM session at NCC and the opposite sessions at their high school. So we're going to be in person 5 days a week. We do not have a hybrid schedule. The only thing that'll make us hybrid is if for some reason transportation does not allow your student to come on, let's say Tuesday, Wednesday, Fridays every week. We have part of our staff that's helping with a virtual format to allow our kids to be hybrid as well. Not our preference, but we know that there's kids that just won't be able to get there. And so they're gonna have to work through that. We'll be able to work through that. If that happens and you're aware of that happening, if your student is fully virtual, let's say that their virtual teachers are interacting with them now, but they're a PM student in our building, then we can work through that case by case. But we know that this isn't gonna be perfect and we'll have to work through case by case. But we're gonna ask for some flexibility and some grace with our sending schools to help kids that are here in person to have that time in person. Because that was important to you to make that choice to allow your kid to attend NCC in person. So we'll work with our sending high schools and districts to help us make that work just to the best of our abilities. So can't guarantee it's going to be perfect, but we're going to give it a shot. So next question says, do we need to do a temperature check on our student home prior to going to NCC? Our answer is that we're not going to take temperatures when kids walk through doors, and we are, as part of our plan, requiring a self-screen. That self-screen could be, Mr. Green, is it required temperature screen or is it recommended? I'm not.
It's recommended. And I think, if you listen, tell your kids to, if they're not feeling well or if they're feeling warm, that's when as a parent, encourage them to do those temperature checks. Or opposite, the alternative would be have a daily temperature check for your kids. Something you do just kind of, you just do as part of the times that we're living in right now. But that's up to you. We're not telling you have to, but we want to make sure that our kids are not showing symptoms. And we know that just because you don't have a temperature doesn't mean they might not have something, but we know it's a good indicator. So we're encouraging you to, but we're not going to tell you have to.
Yeah. So a lot of us, we've been back at school, Mr. Green and I have, since late May. And so we've been doing, we've had these procedures in place. So we do temperature checks as part of our regular practice. The temperature that is our guideline is 100 degrees. And so student has a temperature 100 degrees, we ask that they stay home. If they have other symptoms, we ask that they stay home. And we run our programs in a simulated workplace format so that if a student is going to be ill or has symptoms, then we'd ask that they email their teacher prior to their class session, or if their teacher gives them their office phone number to contact them. But there's going to be times when students have symptoms. I have a daughter that attended summer school, and she had symptoms, so we kept her home. She did not have the 100-degree temperature, but she had a cough a little bit, so we kept her home. We ask you to do the same thing. I've been a parent through this already through summer school, so it was something we had to work through. That wouldn't be a typical thing. We'd keep her from home in a non-pandemic, but in this case, we sure did. So that helps. Okay, let me find the next question here.
Did you answer the first question in that group about transportation from Park Hill South to NCC? I guess you did in general, yeah.
And that may be, we've had some Park Hill questions, so Mr. Green and I may need to talk tomorrow with our Park Hill South and our Park Hill High School administrators to get more clarification on that. So, because I know that they have a Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday hybrid, so we'll work with them on that. And
yeah.
We have the chat recorded, so we'll know who to get back to on this list. So I promise we'll get back to you on that Park Hill question as soon as we can. So the next question is, how would lunch work for PM session students? Oh, here, Mr. Green may have already answered this. We do not provide lunch. What we provide in a normal year is we provide a culinary experience on Thursdays for students to buy food from culinary. We will be finding relevant opportunities for those culinary kids to create food without serving to a large group of students to keep them. Our culinary room is one of our favorite places, and we typically would bring at times 150 kids into that room because it's a neat room and allows us to create really awesome social events. That will be something we will not be doing to start this fall for safety purposes. So we will not have lunch, and I will tell you that for safety purposes, to create more space in the hallways and to deter any space where there's gatherings, is we will not have any vending available either. So if kids want to bring snacks, just like almost like an elementary student, they would need to bring their own snacks and drinks. So we have a water refill station. We'll have that available. We will not have water fountains. They will be eliminated from our. They will not be accessible in our hallways this fall. So until further notice. If regular school closes because of COVID, will NCC do the same? You know, it really depends. I will tell you that there was some guidance put out. If we follow the guidance right now, as I mentioned before, Platte County Health Department, CDC. We also work with Clay County Health Department because we're close to Clay County at times. So a lot of times, and it's a hard question to answer, a lot of times you'll see schools make similar decisions in regions. The Northland schools have different schedules, but they're pretty similar, and they've made similar decisions, and all schools are starting, to our knowledge, after September 8th. And so I would assume if there's a reason for something that's happening in one of our two adjacent counties, that it may close our school as well. We follow the Platte County schedule, and I believe Mr. Green said earlier, if Platte County closes or goes virtual, we will do the same. It doesn't necessarily mean if one of our schools, our high schools, closes that we will definitely close, but we don't know. We haven't been through that yet. None of these schools have been in person other than some small summer school samples. So we'll have to keep you posted on that as well. So kind of like snow days. We typically, if we have a snow day, the Northland has a snow day. And so I assume that'll be similar situations, but we just don't know yet. So it says, do you have any guidance on the construction management tract format and what that would look like? Okay. This is an interesting one because it's one of our largest spaces. And so we will have to make sure that we have created safe spaces for our kids that are operating in our academic space. Every classroom at NCC has academic or classroom space and lab or shop space. So to make this work, we will have a portion of those students in the classroom at desks that are spread well apart, 6 feet plus apart. And then we have a huge space right inside the shop or lab where we're able to do that as well. And we're able to do that in most of our shops. It's the advantage of sending a kid right now or having a building like this during this time, because we have our square footage per student is we have a lot more square feet because each of our classrooms or programs have classroom and labs. And so that makes it work really well for this. We're still working through it, and we have a couple weeks, and we don't have all our plans perfectly in place, but we're working through it. So in that case, they'll do classroom work in the classroom and lab, and we'll have mostly static seating, which means they'll come to the same seat every day. And again, we'll not rotate that, but they have a really nice lab as well in this program, and most of our programs where they can actually go and then do their lab work real close to where their classroom work will be. So I hope that answers that question. Do you want to answer the next one, Mr. Green? I'll read it and then you can answer it. To follow up on transportation, even if one kid in the afternoon is coming from Liberty, the plan is to have transportation provided even on days that are due to hybrid learning, ?
As with any transportation question, we're always going to use the terminology. Transportation is the responsibility of the sending school, so you need to double check with them. But in the past, they have found ways to transport even one kid. It may not be on a giant school bus, and it may be. We've had it where it's a individual transport type situation, and we've had it where it's one kid per bus. So yeah, generally speaking, yes. But again, we don't make those decisions. Those are those are the school district decision or schools decisions on how they want to handle that. So yeah, that's the intent. Yes. So
I think a general theme that maybe we can follow up on from these questions as we got them over the last couple of days and this evening is transportation and hybrid schedules. So it's really difficult for us to put out a standard answer on all that because it's so different for different schools. And we're working with 7 different superintendents and district administrators that are liaisons to our building and at times up to 16 high school principals. But as Mr. Green said, typically schools have made a commitment to come to NCC. They provide a bus and do that, and we'll do that every day. The question is the challenge will be, I think, in no circumstances will a school district send a bus to a home for kids on a hybrid. The kids on the hybrid schedule will likely have to get to the high school to catch a bus or provide their own vehicle transportation on their off hybrid days. So that's, I feel like I can comfortably say that, but we can definitely follow up with some other questions for our sending schools. How will we find out if PC, Platte County Council School, or whatever the instance might be if we're from another school district? Okay, so I would highly recommend if you haven't been to North, I think you probably would have had to been to northlandcareercenter.com to register for this event. One thing we pride ourselves on is making sure that announcement section is updated on a typical, I'll give you an example, a typical snow day. Mr. Green and I may talk at 5:15 in the morning. By 5:30, he sent an email to every parent, and we've sent in a text message, if I'm not mistaken, and I've updated the website, Facebook, and our Twitter page. So our Twitter account is at NCC Rocks. Our Facebook page, if you look up Northland Career Center, is there, and our website is northlandcareercenter.com. And if you, Mr. Green, this is what I was going to remind you. You said if they're not, you remind them to register. You want to go with that now, so we know that we have your email and phone number.
It's actually perfect. There's been a couple of questions pop in here about clothing sizes, whether it's for culinary or welding. Those are the 2 that have specifically popped up. So let me kind of address all of that. So as part of our registration process, we asked one of the questions that we have you fill in is pant size and shirt size. So we use that as a general start, but then each teacher will also have those conversations. And for any virtual students that are out there, we'll be including them in those conversations so they can get their uniform parts and pieces and you know, welding gear and all that kind of stuff. So so the bottom line is, if you have not registered, if you've not gone onto our website as a new parent, especially returning students, we need them to do it too. The parents need to go in and update everything. But for any new student coming to NCC for the first time, if you have not done registration for Northland Career Center, please get on our website. On the upper left corner, there's a link that says new student registration. It's in the red box. Please make sure you get that done ASAP. We have about 35 students that haven't done that yet. And that part needs to happen as quickly as possible. We ask those sizes in there. Again, we don't necessarily order from that, but it helps us kind of have an idea what shirt sizes to have on hand and kind of have ready for teachers. But they will talk to their students individually and get specific orders. And for the things like culinary jackets, they have different sizes and the kids can try them on as well. And so they'll try things on and make sure they get something that's going to last a year or two. So that's kind of the answer to the clothing questions. Somebody said specifically, how do we know what size? If it's a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a hoodie or a pullover, things like that, it's your typical normal shirt sizes, you know, medium, large, small. A couple of our programs, it's a little more specific. For example, law enforcement. If we have any law enforcement parents or students on here, they'll have you try them on so you can kind of know what size to get. Or if the student knows, hey, I know I wear an extra large t-shirt, I'm going to just order an extra large, you know, law enforcement shirt. But Officer Bruns will go over that with them, and Chef Brandy will go over that with culinary and so on and so forth. So hopefully that answers the registration part. Make sure you please do it. I've got a couple people that have popped on since I said registration. I think I registered my student. How do I verify? And how about if you have a question like that, as soon as we're kind of done with this first group, I'll be happy to, if you put your name in there and say, can I verify? Unless it gets about 800 people long, I will I will look it up and I'll let you know in the chat privately if you're registered or not. So looks like Chef Brandy's on here too. She looks like she just chatted everyone. She says they're going to have a Meet the Teachers Zoom next week, and we'll discuss uniforms then, and we'll get that information. We'll start posting those dates for Meet the Teacher type Zoom meetings. We'll start putting those on our website as we kind of get everybody figured out when they're going to do it. We gave teachers kind of a window. Mr. Noller, do you remember what that window was?
I believe it's by Friday. So I can double check that. I think we have one or two that are still figuring that out.
Friday.
Mr. Green, I'm going to ask you a question. If I have specific people who've asked, can I verify registration? Can I respond to them individually,
Yeah.
privately, and then tell them, so if I look their name up, would that be okay?
Yeah, what I need you to do though is look it up on Infinite Campus.
I am.
Yeah, make sure they're showing up in this year.
Gotcha. So let's do this. If you have that question, here's why I see one or two of those questions. What I don't know is your student's name. If you would send a private message to me, then I will look that up and send a private message back to you. For example,
either one of us is fine privately, and we can look them up.
And you might put your student's name, and that helps us a little bit. Because I see some of the parents, and Mr. Green might know how to find your name, but I know how to find your kid's name for sure. So that would help us if that would work.
And there are, as far as I see, I don't see any other specific questions.
Okay. I wonder if, and we've never done this, so Mr. Green, I'm going to take a risk here. There is a raise your hand function. Does that allow them to raise their hand and we can unmute their mic if they want to ask the question? Is that
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah. I think I'd have to do the unmuting or I think it tells me.
Okay. So if you see that on your screen, if you go to down at the bottom, you should be able to click on the participants, and when it popped up a menu on mine where I can raise my hand. Do you see me do that, Mr. Green? Does it raise my hand?
Oh yes, it does. I see it up here.
Okay.
I just put it down. You don't get to answer any questions.
Fair enough.
I don't see any more. So.
But we want to make sure that if you have suggestions, even one of the things I said when we open, if you have an idea or a suggestion or a question, this was our best way to facilitate up to, I think we have now 42 of us together. So if you have a question, you want to raise your hand, he'll unmute you and let you ask it.
Assume those pop up at the top. Okay. I'm getting to some of these lookups too, so bear with me here.
Okay.
I got to make sure I privately respond to the right people. Okay, here we
Sure.
go. There it is.
Anybody have any other questions?
I do not have any hand raises.
I think I see one from.
Nope.
I have one, Mr. Green.
Oh, yep. Unmute.
Okay.
I think I can unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So in this current environment with COVID, if you have a student who has an exposure or a teacher has an exposure, like in a particular classroom, whatever classroom it is in regarding the different tracks there, how will that be handled as far as, I mean, their kids are there for very specific training, you know, as far as culinary or construction or whatever. So how would that be handled or traced as far as kids in the classroom, or a teacher comes down ill? Do you have another teacher to take that person's position for 14 days while they're in quarantine?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our district put out guidance that we will follow Platte County School District's guidance. So we can. There's several things that we'll do, and there's a few things we won't do. And so we have a process, and I can. If I could just share that, Mr. Green, is that possible? Well, I'm on the other computer here, so it'd probably be better for me to share that with you because it's guidance that's already put out for our plan. And in terms of working with local health authorities to make sure we do the right things. We send individuals home when they're ill, communicate to all the families and staff members in the school building. And the one thing I'll say that we won't do with number 3, and it'll be in our don't, is we won't provide any personal identifiable information as part of our process. Extra cleaning, monitor symptoms of all students and staff, provide important health information to families, and encourage daily wellness checks, as we talked about before. We will not immediately close our school building or classrooms, so just be aware of that. So, but we'll post, is there a way we can put that? This is a document we just received yesterday, but it's a good document. Is there a way we can post that or put that out there, Mr. Green?
Sorry, I was not listening. I'm trying to answer all these registrations. There's about 100 of them. So
My apologies. So
answer the question. Ask me. Sorry.
and I'm on my laptop here. So there's a there's a document. We'll do this. We'll make sure we link that document so you can see it. But it's essentially what I just read. Everybody's worried about that, and safety is our biggest concern here. We want to provide relevant instruction, but safety first, of course. But you know, working through that process is not going to be a super easy process. We know that, but we've got a process in place that will help us, and we're using those local health authorities to guide us through that process. And so, just know that we'll be as transparent as we can be without revealing key information under some of the protection acts that we're working with students. So just, I hope that answers your question. And again, we'll post that document soon. So.
Okay, we've got a couple more people here, so I'm gonna Mr. Hall unmute. I don't think it's letting me unmute you, Mr. Hall, but it is your turn.
No, I think we just asked the question. My wife just asked the question she wanted.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and I have a Jennifer. You can unmute. It's your turn.
Hi. When we went over the uniforms, I understood, like, you know, wait till we get there. We did the registration and put his sizes in. However, we still got, I didn't know if it was just generated automatically, but we still got for culinary the sizes, and it says we have to order all those by the 15th. Is that kind of null and we're just waiting, or are we still supposed, like, I got this form
Oh, yeah.
and it has everything on there with the coat. I didn't know if we were still doing all of that. Do I need to have that done by the 15th? Is that something I don't know about the coat size. I mean, he's a big kid. I know about pants, stuff like that, but this is chef's hat, the thermometer. These are required cost and fees, but it says to be done by the 15th. I didn't know, is that still a thing, or what am I supposed to be doing?
It's a good question. I was not aware that it had that date on there. Mr. Noller, any thoughts?
You know, everything's been pushed back. So to answer your question, Jennifer, is that we typically want to have those ordered as quickly as possible so kids get their uniforms, so that it becomes that simulated workplace right off the bat. But in this situation, we won't even see our students till September 8th. So for the checks, I know Chef Brandy might be able to answer some of that if she's still on, but I don't believe that's as urgent as it would have been in a typical, and when we sent the letters in the 1st of July, we were still hopeful to start on August 25th, which isn't the case now. So
Sure. And I'm good with whatever. I just don't want to miss something and then not have his orders in, but I mean, I will, whatever I need to do, I will do.
Mr. Noller, can you hear me? This is Chef.
We can. Yes, we can.
Okay. For uniform orders, yeah, it'll be pushed back until the students actually get to try on the uniforms, because obviously that is something that we are taking into consideration. So we'll have the meet the teacher night next week, and I'll talk about that, but we won't order it after they've all been in class at least one day, so they can try on uniforms. So
Okay, so I just need to kind of hold on to this letter, but I don't need to do anything with sizes at this time.
no, but make sure you pay your fees, because that definitely speeds up the process. So the required fees, then I can order immediately instead of having to wait until they've paid their fees. So
Okay, so I pay the fees, but then they won't actually order them with sizes and stuff until he tries them on, but I just pay the fees up front.
that is correct.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate the help.
You're welcome.
Okay. Mr. Noller, there's a new question in there specific to teaching professions.
Okay, let me get there.
I'm still running through the list here, everyone. Bear with me.
For teaching, it says for teaching professions will participate in schools, communicate with NCC about possible exposure in those classrooms. So the information will definitely come through us. Right now, I will tell you for teaching professions is that we are, and I have a letter to go out to teaching profession students, like I said, tomorrow. We are not able to do internships beginning the start of the school year. So we are evaluating several different things about 30 days out, including internships. So typically, and I'm assuming this may have came from a second year parent, but I'm not sure, but typically we'd have internships that start after the first week for our second year students and after about our third or fourth week for our first year students. So the parents from that program will receive a letter from me that we are tabling that, but we're finding other ways to instruct and potentially connect with other school buildings virtually, even while they're at NCC. So that's been the two programs that are a challenge are health sciences, which part of the certification is blended into a work-based learning experience, and teaching professions. Health sciences, we have till the spring semester before they typically do their clinical experience. Teaching professions usually get started, like I said, either after week 1 or week 4, depending on, or week 3, depending on it's a first year, second year student. So we will not be putting kids into participating schools at this time and again, it goes both ways. Schools may not allow us, and we may also be very cautious until we feel it's safer. So hope that answers your question. And again, I would offer, and I may follow up with a phone call to the parent that asked that question just to kind of talk through that a little bit. So any other questions yet, Mr. Green?
Looking here.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'll answer this one. It was about fees. You said we could pay through a portal. Will that be an invite? Yes. If you're a new parent, it will be something that we send out to everybody through our system. You'll have an actual login and a temporary password that you can then create your own password. That'll be coming in the next couple weeks. If you are a returning student, you should already have one. However, if you don't, if you go to our website, there's a place you can request an update on your password, and we can then send we have to create it and then send it to you. So not every second year family had a portal last year. This is the first year that we're going to create them for you and send them out automatically, because we've transitioned completely to using a portal now. So it's been kind of a couple year process of getting everybody fully engaged in that. So but yeah, the portal will be pushed out if you're a new family, and you should be getting that in the next couple weeks. So did you say that all instructors would be sending something about a meet and greet by this Friday? The meet and greet will be by next Friday. And yes, we'll be posting it on our website so that you guys can kind of check back there. As we get that information from the teachers, we will post their specific links to their meetings on our website and give you kind of the time frame. So for example, Chef Brandy's on here, so we'll talk about her. She's going to have one coming up, and I think I actually posted that in there. But we'll have that link and the date and time of her meet and greet on our website, so you can click on it right from there and be a part of that meeting. And it'll be all virtual, just like this. So,
and Mr. Green, I think I'm looking at this. I think we have only a few teachers that haven't posted a date, so we can reach out to them tomorrow and maybe post this hopefully by 5 o'clock tomorrow, I would say, on our website. And what it'll be is there'll be a link to a sheet, and it'll have all the teachers, and it'll have a link to their Zoom or Google Hangout opportunity. So,
and I think I answered, someone had, how do we pay fees online? I think I just answered that. That'll be coming really soon to you. And like I said, if you're a second year parent, you can go to our website and request an update. There's honestly, off the top of my head, I have to go find it, but it's on our main page on our website to request a password. Actually, I can tell you how to get there. If you're a second year parent, or your son or daughter is a second year student, go to the website, northlandkersner.com. The red menu, I don't know, 3/4 of the way down, there's a parent student portal link. If you click on that, it takes you to the portal, but if you don't know your login, there's a place on that page where you can click to request a new login. And they usually give us about 24 hours usually, but sometimes if I'm on my computer and I see it pop up, I just do it. But my admin assistant, she takes care of those usually in the mornings when she comes in. So it can be up to 24 hours before you see that come through. So yeah, I think that's all the questions we have. I'm still working through. So once we kind of wrap up here, if I haven't got to you, feel free to stay on and I'll answer you. But I will tell you that if you got an email from northlandcareercenter@gmail.com from Infinite Campus, your son or daughter is registered. So if you've asked me and I haven't got to you, if you got an email about anything in the last few weeks that's from northlandcareercenter@gmail.com, from Infinite Campus or from Northland Career Center with like a blanket statement, like about this meeting, if you got that the other day, your son or daughter is registered, so you don't have to hang out. And then I'll just kind of keep an eye on it. If you're still on there and you're unsure, I'll keep looking these up. So, and I do not have any more new questions, Mr. Noller. I'm going to keep looking up students.
Okay. I don't see other questions either. So we're scheduled to be here till 6:30. So if you have any other questions, and then we have another session starting at 7 o'clock. So, and again, I wish we had all the answers now, but we've just been trained to be pretty agile and flexible as we've navigated the last several months. So things may change. Right now, we're very excited to start on September 8th, and we hope that we are bringing kids in person on that day. So we'll see how it goes. So but that's our goal. So.
Oh, we got a couple of thank yous, and we appreciate all the support from everyone, and appreciate you guys being here today.
Me too. If there's no other questions, I think we're done. I think, Mr. Green, are you keeping a few folks on to ask questions, or?
Yeah, I'm still kind of working through it. All these questions about verifying registration. So just I'm one at a time.
Okay. All right.
IT professionals, Mr. Noller, do you happen to remember when his meet and greet is?
I have it up right here, and that meeting for IT professionals is Monday, August 17th at 6:30 p.m. And we'll make sure we put the information to connect to that meeting on our website.
Okay, and then somebody asked real quick, how do we register for parking pass? That's also that was kind of sort of done through our online registration. If the parent indicated they were going to give their permission, we generally reach out to the students. We reach out to the sending schools to make sure they're okay with it. But ultimately, when the kids get here, they can just let us know they're interested. And if we look up the parent from the registration, if it's yes, then we just basically reach out to the sending school. And a lot of times I have that done ready to go for the student. And then basically they bring their insurance card, their driver's license. We verify that the car's insured, with their insurance card. And then we'll hand them a pass that day, basically, because we're not charging this year, just to kind of support the fact that kids can drive if the parents are okay with it. We want them to stay off the buses and be as individual as they can this year. So hopefully that answered that question. We'll keep working through these requests. This is harder than it looks because I gotta find every time I send a chat, I gotta go back and find where I was. Okay.
I think that's the last question. I don't see any other. I think we answered the IT question, fees online. I think we're good. Okay. We have quite a few people staying with us. Do you have questions you want to ask?
They may be waiting on me.
Oh, okay. Oh, for a specific question.
Yeah. Like I'm verifying registration.
You didn't know I was going to do that too. I apologize for that. So
right.
At least they'll leave. They joined us, so they'll leave with peace of mind. I appreciate you doing that, Mr. Green. So
I keep going up here.
Chef Brandy, thanks for joining us tonight and answering those questions. Appreciate it.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yes. Looks like I just got a few left here. Let's see here. Get up to 605.
Appreciate all the nice thank yous as well. I think some of you are still on. Thank you for that.
I don't know. I think I got them all. Oh, Hendricks. Okay. Oh, I gotta look up. It's actually cold. Yes. All right. So I think I got them all. I still see two other people on here that I may, if you're still on here and you're looking for me to look up your son or daughter on registration, please re-message me because there's like 1,000 messages in here and I may have missed it and I apologize.
Yeah, they must be messaging you because I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, they said they wouldn't let them privately message you. Maybe we have messaging turned off or something.
Oh, okay. Understand.
Sabrina, did you have anything else for us? Oh, I'm sorry.
I did. I just messaged
I
you.
see it. All right.
And then there was another question in there.
What was your other question? Maybe I can answer while he's.
Well,
Your
there's
son's good, first of all. He's in.
Okay. And am I signed up for all the appropriate alerts? I just found out from Lead today that I'm not signed up to get any of their information at all. So I haven't gotten anything from them. Nothing, not even like days Austin is supposed to be in school.
Okay, so let me look and see what his. Okay.
And Mr. Green, I might
Yeah,
we
there's
might
one other
do
person.
this off just for confidentially purposes type stuff. So I don't know. That's okay.
Yeah, look, Ms. Thompson, I'm going to private message you my cell phone number, and can you call me when we get off here?
Yep, absolutely.
And then
And we have Miss Ferguson. Are you or Mr. or Miss Ferguson? Are you still on with us for a question?
I just requested an unmute there.
No, I was just waiting for the meeting to end.
Okay, great. Just making sure.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Do you have any other questions before we wrap up, or are you good?
No, I think we're good. We're enrolled and I think, and then I know we meet Mr. Weeks on Monday, right? Is what you said?
Yeah,
So,
Monday at 6:30 p.m. and we'll put information on how to connect to
okay,
that meeting as well. It'll be a little bit different format, but it'll be similar. So
okay, great. All right, thank you. I'm gonna get off. Thanks.
thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Hey, Sabrina, you can go ahead and give me a call and we'll get this taken care of.